everybody, I'm Liz from French Toast and Books, and today we are doing my January reading wrap-up. I completed 3 books because I did not finish The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue yet, so I'm going to be working on this more throughout the week because I still haven't finished it yet. So, let's get into the 3 books that I finished, my thoughts, feelings, and my star rating for all of the books. The first book I finished was War Storm by Victoria Aveyard. This one, I am not entirely certain my exact feels for my star rating on it. I'm kind of settling with a 3.5. I definitely thought that the pacing wasn't quite up to par with the second book, The Glass Sword, but it was much, much better than the third book, A King's Cage. So at least we had better pacing in that book than otherwise. And definitely the characters were not as whiny as the third book. So it got some points for that. As I can appreciate how it ended, I don't exactly agree with it. I don't feel like the character development or the plot that spanned the other 3 books really owned up to where they ended up by the end of the 4th and final story. It felt really wishy-washy, and so it was what it was. I will say that even though I can, like I said, appreciate where the conclusion was, I still don't feel like it was a complete conclusion. I don't feel like the story ended. And I really think that, like, I get it, like, Rome wasn't built in a day, like, they just finished this big, huge war, and they need to, like, rebuild their country and do all this other stuff, but, like, I felt like it needed another chapter, or an epilogue, or maybe another book to kind of settle all the little plot holes and give it a more solid conclusion. I don't know if the novella wraps it up anymore. I don't know because I don't read novellas and I don't plan on reading this one. But if it does wrap up better, let me know and maybe I'll try it. Next we have Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is the 3rd and final book in the Caraval series. However, I do hear that we are getting a spin-off on this series. It's going to center around the Prince of Hearts. Honestly, I gave this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I felt like it was very similar to Legendary because, like I said, it's primarily in Tella's point of view, and I don't really enjoy Tella as a character. I didn't really enjoy any of the characters, quite honestly, and I felt like this unnecessary love triangle was just so pointless. And not only, it wasn't even just a love triangle with Tella, it was also a love triangle with Scarlet, and it was just so unnecessary. So by the end of the series, I felt just very frustrated as a reader. As I loved most of the writing, some of the writing just felt very hyperbolic and not in a good way for me. And as I said, love interests, not just love triangles, but also everyone was so possessive in their love, and it was just grating for me. I know this is very much like a teen trope type thing where possession is love, and I know, like, I felt that way as a teenager too, but me as an adult, me in a healthy relationship, me understanding that possession does not equal love makes reading possession type relationships really frustrating, especially when flimsy apologies are addressed or no apology happens and they just brush it off as this is how I am. And it was just this big huge like war about give and take with relationships, and how like you're only supposed to feel one way, or you're only supposed to want one thing and not multiple things, and if you feel that way then we can't be together. But once you do feel that way, it's not okay, and you can't feel that way. And I was just so frustrated reading this book, guys. I was so frustrated. So all in all, it kind of felt like a bad soap opera. I really did end up, like I said, liking the mythology, the lore. I still really enjoyed that, and I would eat up more of the mythology and lore in the story. So maybe I'll read this spinoff. I don't know. But yeah, so as I'm rambling and all in all, like, my thoughts are everywhere with the story. Overall, I liked it, but I was just had so many frustrations and issues with some plot devices that it was just a average, okay book. So yeah. And the final story is The Stars and the Blackness Between Them by Jundua Petrus. I loved so much about this book, but there were a few aspects and elements that did frustrate me. So I am not exactly sure my rating on this story. Maybe 3.5, maybe 4 stars. I'm still thinking about it. There was, like I said, a lot that I loved about the story. I loved the writing. I loved how it was written in like a spoken language sort of way instead of a formal text English. I like that. I felt like it really puts you in the main characters as a dual POV type of book. So it really like sticks you in their head and lets you think how they're thinking, and like it just really allows you to be in their mind, and I really, really enjoyed it about this story. There is a lot of things that are hard about this story, as it does take place not only with a lot of homophobia, where one main character, Audra, is shipped out of Trinidad to live with her father in America, in Minneapolis, because her mom, who's super religious Christian, finds her in a romantic embrace with another woman, and obviously she's not okay with that. Very, very homophobic. So that happens, and then we have our other main character, Mabel, who is sick and doesn't find out until later on that she actually has some form of cancer. I believe it's leukemia. I can't remember exactly, but it's really harsh, really sudden and extreme, and so her doctors don't think she's gonna make it. And so there's a lot of heartstrings. It's really tough and sad to read this book, especially when you get into the second half, which really dives into Mabel's illness, but is still a really beautiful, lovely story. The only thing that I feel like really takes me away from the story is, again, that second half. We have Audra, who has befriended Mabel. She tries to take the healing energies that she learned in Trinidad with her grandmother to try to help Mabel through her illness. Maybe not cure her, but at least make her symptoms feel less like a burden. And it puts Mabel into these weird dream states that honestly make no sense for me. And it gets to the point where I don't see the point in these dream sequences, because even though they happen and the dream themselves are beautiful, they just don't tie into the story. They don't make any sense. There's no discussion or reflection on these dreams. They just happen, and then you're taken away from it, and there's just no rhyme or reason for it, which really confused me a lot and took me out of the story, especially when these dreams that Mabel has is of Audra's grandmother, back when her grandmother was a young 20-something-year-old, and Mabel's never met Audra's grandmother before. So it made no sense. There's no connection, no explanation, and I didn't get it. So I feel like this book could have been a 5 out of 5 if they would have done something more with the dream sequences, whether they explained it or reflected upon it or something. So there we have it. There we have the 3 books that I finished in January. Please let me know what you read in January. Did you have a favorite read? What was that read? And let me know what your thoughts and feelings if you read any of the books I mentioned in this video. And I'm really looking forward and hoping that my reading month in February is better. I hope to get a 4 or 5-star read. Fingers crossed. I hope you liked this video. Give me a like, comment, subscribe, what have you. And until next time, know that I love you. Bye!